I stared at my phone, reading the text message for the 10th time, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. The words burned into my vision. Don't come to the wedding. My sister Amanda sent this 3 days before her $800,000 ceremony that I had just finished paying for. Every contract had my name on it. Every receipt, every deposit, every final payment. I was sitting in my home office, surrounded by wedding planning documents, and yesterday, I had transferred the last $200,000 to the venue. Now she was erasing me like I never existed. Let me take you back 6 months to explain how I ended up here, because this story starts long before that text message destroyed me. My name is Douglas, and I am 32 years old. I grew up in a small town in Ohio with my mom and my younger sister Amanda. Our dad left when I was 8, and Amanda was 4, and we never heard from him again. Mom worked 3 jobs to keep us fed and clothed. I remember nights when she would come home at 11 p.m., her feet swollen from standing all day at the diner, and she would still check our homework before collapsing into bed. Amanda is 4 years younger than me, which makes her 28 now. Growing up, we were close because we had to be. When you are poor and your mom is never home, you learn to take care of each other. I protected Amanda at school, helped her with her homework, and made sure she had lunch money even when I skipped lunch myself. I dropped out of college my junior year to start a software company. Everyone thought I was crazy. My professors told me I was throwing away my future, but I could not keep watching Mom kill herself while I sat in classrooms learning theories. I needed to make money, real money, fast. Those first 7 years were brutal. I lived on ramen noodles and whatever samples I could get from grocery stores. There were months when I slept in my car because I could not afford rent and keep my business running. I taught myself to code, worked 20-hour days, and slowly built something real. 2 years ago, everything changed. A major tech firm bought my company for $42 million. After taxes and paying back my few investors, I walked away with about $20 million. I started a consulting business that brings in another $2 million a year. I moved to Austin, Texas, and bought a nice house. Nothing crazy, just a comfortable 3-bedroom place in a good neighborhood. I never forgot where I came from. Mom always taught us that money does not change who you are inside, and I believed her. Amanda took a different path. She went to college, got her degree, and became a marketing manager for a mid-sized firm. She did well for herself, making around $70,000 a year. 3 years ago, she started dating Garrett Thompson. Garrett came from old money. His family is from Connecticut, the kind of people who have great-great-grandparents in their family portraits and belong to clubs that have waiting lists measured in decades. Garrett works in finance at one of his family's investment firms. I met him a few times, and he seemed nice enough, if a little stiff and formal. But I noticed Amanda started changing after she met Garrett's family. She began distancing herself from me, always having excuses when I suggested visiting or getting together. At first, I attributed it to her being busy with her relationship. People drift apart sometimes. I did not think much of it. 6 months ago, everything seemed to shift back. Amanda called me late one Tuesday night, crying so hard I could barely understand her. She said she was getting married to Garrett, and she had always dreamed of a fairy tale wedding, the kind of wedding she saw in magazines when we were kids, and she knew we could never afford. Garrett's family, despite their wealth, had traditional views about wedding expenses. They believed in modest celebrations and told Amanda they would contribute $10,000 maximum. That was their standard for all family weddings. Amanda's dream venue alone cost more than that just for the rental. She asked if I could help a little bit with the costs. Her voice was small and hopeful, and in that moment, she sounded like the little sister I used to protect on the playground. I did not hesitate. I told her I would pay for the entire wedding as my gift to her. She broke down crying, saying she loved me and I was the best brother in the world. I felt like a hero. I had made it, I had money, and now I could give my sister the dream wedding she deserved. This was what success was for, right? Taking care of the people you love. The planning began immediately. Amanda and I met with a wedding planner named Tracy, who specialized in luxury events. Amanda wanted the wedding in Napa Valley, California, at an exclusive estate that overlooked vineyards and rolling hills. The venue alone cost $180,000. She found a designer dress that cost $50,000. The catering was from a Michelin-starred chef who charged $400 per person for 250 guests. That was 100,000 just for food. The flowers were another 40,000. The photographer and videographer package was 35,000. A live band with professional musicians was 28,000. By the time we added in decorations, transportation, accommodations for the wedding party, invitations, and 100 other details, we were looking at over $800,000. I signed every contract in my name. The vendors wanted the primary client to be the person with financial responsibility, and that was me. Amanda was listed as the bride, but legally, these were my events, my bookings, my obligations. She seemed thrilled. She hugged me at every planning meeting and posted on social media about having the best brother ever. I felt good. I felt like I was finally able to give back after all those years of struggle. 3 months before the wedding, we attended a tasting at the venue. The chef prepared sample menus, and we were trying different options for the reception dinner. That is when I first met Garrett's mother, Patricia Thompson. Patricia arrived in a chauffeur-driven car, dressed in clothes that probably cost more than our childhood home. She was a tall woman with perfectly styled gray hair and the kind of posture that suggested she had never slouched a day in her life. When Amanda introduced us, Patricia's eyes swept over me with an expression I recognized from my poor childhood. It was the look teachers gave kids who showed up to school in worn-out shoes. The look store clerks gave you when you counted out coins at the register. "So you are the brother," she said, her voice clipped and cold. "The self-made man." How quaint. The word quaint stung. It was not a compliment. Throughout the tasting, Patricia made subtle comments about new money and how it was different from established wealth. She asked me questions about my background that felt designed to expose my poor upbringing. "Where did you go to prep school?" she asked, knowing full well I had not. "Public school in Ohio," I answered honestly. "How interesting," she replied, in a tone that suggested it was anything but. I noticed Amanda did not defend me. In fact, she seemed embarrassed. She changed the subject quickly whenever Patricia's comments got particularly cutting. After Patricia left, I asked Amanda about her behavior. She waved it off. "Just ignore her. She's old-fashioned and set in her ways. It does not mean anything." But then Amanda said something that made my stomach drop. "Can you just not mention our poor background around Garrett's family? They do not really understand that kind of thing, and it makes them uncomfortable." I stared at her. "You want me to pretend we did not grow up the way we did? I just do not want to make things awkward," she said, not meeting my eyes. "This is important to me, Douglas. Please." I agreed, but a seed of doubt had been planted. For the first time, I wondered if my sister was ashamed of where we came from. Ashamed of me. Over the next 3 months, the distance between Amanda and me grew into a canyon I could not cross. She started responding to my texts hours or sometimes days later. When I would send her photos of invitation designs or ask her opinion on decisions I was making, she would reply with short, vague responses. "Looks good?" or "whatever you think." It felt like she had checked out of the planning process entirely. Even though I was paying for everything, I tried to discuss my role in the wedding. As her only sibling, and with Mom having passed away from cancer 2 years earlier, I assumed I would be walking Amanda down the aisle. I also thought I would give a speech as her closest family member. But whenever I brought it up, Amanda was evasive. "We will figure all that out later," she would say. "There is still time." But there was not still time. We were 12 weeks out, then 10, then 8. The program needed to be finalized. The ceremony order needed to be set. And Amanda kept putting me off. Then came the bridal shower incident, which should have been my wake-up call. I arranged an elaborate bridal shower at a luxury hotel in San Francisco, close to where many of Amanda's friends and Garrett's family lived. I booked the penthouse ballroom, hired caterers, arranged for a champagne bar, and organized games and activities. The whole event cost $35,000, and I wanted it to be perfect for Amanda and her 75 closest friends. I arrived early on the day of the shower to make sure everything was set up correctly. The room looked beautiful. White and gold decorations, fresh flowers everywhere, elegant table settings. I was proud of what I had created. Patricia Thompson arrived with Garrett's sisters and several female relatives. When they saw me, they looked genuinely shocked. Patricia's expression hardened immediately. She pulled Amanda aside into a corner. I could not hear what they were saying, but I saw the intense conversation. Patricia was gesturing sharply, and Amanda's face was growing more flustered by the second. Amanda came back over to me, her smile forced and tight. Douglas, actually, the shower is really just a girl's thing. You would probably be bored. Why don't you go explore the city for a few hours? I felt like I had been slapped. Amanda, I organized this. I paid for it. I am your brother. I know. And thank you so much, she said quickly, her eyes darting back to where Patricia was watching us. But it would just be more comfortable for everyone if it was just women. You understand, right? I did not understand, but I left. I drove around San Francisco feeling humiliated and confused. Why would she exclude me from an event I had created and paid for? Later that evening, I looked at social media. Amanda and her friends had posted dozens of photos from the shower. My chest tightened when I saw that Garrett's male cousins were in several pictures. They had been allowed to attend, but I had been specifically excluded. I called Amanda immediately, my hurt turning to anger. There were men at the shower. I saw the photos. She was defensive. Those were Garrett's cousins. They just stopped by briefly. They were there longer than I was, I pointed out. Why was I asked to leave, but they could stay? Douglas, you are being oversensitive, she snapped. Garrett's family did not understand why you would be at a bridal shower. They thought it was weird. I am your brother, and they do not get that dynamic. They are traditional. I took a deep breath, trying to control my emotions. Amanda, are you ashamed of me? There was a long pause. Too long. Of course not, she finally said, but her voice lacked conviction. Look, you just need to understand that Garrett's family is important. They have certain expectations. They are not used to the way we do things. The way we do things, I repeated. You mean the way poor people do things? I did not say that. You did not have to. She promised me that my role in the wedding was secure, that I was still walking her down the aisle, that everything would be fine. I wanted to believe her. She was my sister. We had been through everything together. I convinced myself she was just stressed from wedding planning and trying to manage two different families with different expectations. 4 weeks before the wedding, I received a formal invitation to the rehearsal dinner. It was a printed card, nice enough, but I noticed something odd. My name was simply printed on the envelope. While other invitations I had seen Amanda address had handwritten names, mine felt impersonal, like an afterthought. The details were sparse, just a time and location at a restaurant in Napa. No mention of my role or any special seating. I was being treated like a regular guest. I called to confirm some details, and Amanda was short with me. Yes, you are invited. I have to go, Douglas. She hung up before I could ask anything else. I started making arrangements for the wedding weekend. I booked the presidential suite at a resort near the venue for 4 nights. I planned to arrive 3 days early to help with any last-minute preparations and be available for whatever Amanda needed. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, I received an email with an updated wedding party list. My hands went numb as I read through it. My name was not on it. I was not listed as walking Amanda down the aisle. Instead, Garrett's father, Richard Thompson, was listed as giving Amanda away. I was not in the wedding party at all. After paying $823,000 and being Amanda's only living close family, I had been erased. I called her immediately. She did not answer. I called again and again. I sent texts. I sent emails. For 2 days, I heard nothing back. Finally, Amanda responded with a text. We made some changes to the wedding party. Dawn, not worry. You are still invited as a guest. I read that message over and over. A guest. I was being downgraded to a guest at a wedding I was funding entirely. I called her, and this time she picked up. What is happening, Amanda? This is not what we agreed to. Things changed, she said, her voice strained. Garrett's family thought it would be better if Richard gave me away since he is going to be my father-in-law. It is more traditional than your own brother. Douglas, please do not make this harder than it already is. Harder for who? I asked. This is my gift to you. I am paying for everything. And I appreciate that, she said quickly. You are still invited. You will still be there. As a guest, I said flatly. As my brother, she corrected. But it sounded hollow. I wanted to argue more, but she said she had to go. I sat in my office, staring at the contracts on my desk, the payments I had made, the final invoices still pending. I had put more than $600,000 into this wedding already, with the final payments due the week before the ceremony. Something had gone terribly wrong. But I still had hope that Amanda would come to her senses. I told myself she was under pressure from Garrett's family. I told myself she would realize what she was doing and fix it before it was too late. I was wrong. 3 days before the wedding, I made the final payment to the venue. $200,000 left my account, bringing my total to $823,000. When you included all the tips, service charges, and incidentals that had accumulated over months of planning. I sent Amanda a text. Just made the final payment. Cannot wait to celebrate with you. 6 hours passed before she responded with a single word. Thanks. That was it. Not I love you. Not I appreciate everything. Just thanks. Like I had held a door open for her. I flew to San Francisco the next day and drove to Napa Valley. The resort was beautiful, nestled among vineyards with views of rolling hills. I checked into my presidential suite and immediately texted Amanda to let her know I had arrived and asked if she wanted to grab dinner. No response all evening. I checked social media and saw that she was at a dinner with Garrett's family and the wedding party at an upscale restaurant in downtown Napa. I had not been invited. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing. It was 4 a.m. in Austin, but 6 in California. I grabbed my phone and saw a text from Amanda, sent at 2:47 a.m. Douglas, I need to tell you something, and I do not know how to say this. My heart started pounding. I scrolled down. Garrett's family has been really uncomfortable with some things. They think it would be better if you did not come to the wedding. I am sorry, but this is my day, and I need to do what is best for my new family. Don't not come to the wedding. I will pay you back eventually. I read the messages 3 times before they fully registered. She was uninviting me. After everything, after $800,000, after months of planning, after being her brother for 28 years, she was telling me not to come. I called her immediately. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice thick with tears. Amanda, what is happening? Is this some kind of joke? I wish it was, she sobbed. Douglas, I am so sorry, but Patricia gave me an ultimatum. What kind of ultimatum? She said if you come to the wedding, she will make sure Garrett's entire family boycotts it. His parents, his grandparents, his aunts and uncles, everyone. She said she will not be part of a wedding that includes someone who is an embarrassment to their family. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. An embarrassment. Her words, not mine, Amanda said quickly. And what do you think? I demanded. Do you think I am an embarrassment? She was silent for too long. Douglas, you do not understand what it is like. These people are important. They have connections. My entire future is tied to them now. Your future is with them, not with me. I could not keep the pain out of my voice. I am marrying into their family. I have to think about that. I have to think about my life with Garrett and how his family will treat me for the next 50 years. If I go against Patricia on this, she will make my life miserable. So you are choosing them over me. I am choosing my marriage, she said, and I heard the resolve in her voice. You do not understand what this world is like. These people have power and influence. They can make or break careers. They can open or close doors. I need them. You needed me too, I said quietly. You needed my money for this wedding, and I will pay you back, she promised. I swear I will. When? I asked. You make $70,000 a year. It will take you over a decade to pay back $800,000, and that is if you give me every penny you make after taxes. She did not have an answer for that. Amanda, please, I said, my voice breaking. Do not do this. I am your brother. I love you. I have always been there for you. I am sorry, she whispered. I am so sorry, Douglas, but I have to go. The wedding is the day after tomorrow, and I have so much to do. She hung up. I sat in my hotel room, completely numb. Then the numbness turned to shock, and the shock turned to something else, something cold and clear. I opened my laptop and pulled up all the contracts. Every single one was in my name. Amanda was listed as the bride, but I was the client, the legal client, the paying party, the one with all the rights and all the control. Amanda did not have authority over anything. She could not make changes, could not cancel, could not modify. Only I could. I called Mom's old friend Eleanor, who had stayed in touch with Amanda over the years. Eleanor, I need to know something, and I need you to be honest with me. Has Amanda been telling people where the wedding money came from? Eleanor hesitated. I probably should not say this. Please, she sighed. Amanda told Garrett's family that she received a large inheritance from your mother. She said that is how she is paying for the wedding. She never mentioned you at all. My suspicions were confirmed. She has been pretending to be wealthy. I think she wanted to fit in with them, Eleanor said gently. She did not want them to know about your real background. I am sorry, Douglas. I thought you knew. I thanked her and hung up. My phone rang. It was Tracy, the wedding planner, and her voice was urgent. Douglas, I need to talk to you privately. Can you meet me for coffee? 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from Tracy at a cafe in downtown Napa. She looked uncomfortable. Yesterday, I got a call from Patricia Thompson, Tracy began. She demanded that I remove all mentions of your name from the ceremony. She wanted you taken off the programs, the seating charts, everything. She told me to tell vendors that the bride's brother would not be attending due to personal issues. My jaw clenched. What did you say? I told her I could not do that without your approval since you are my client, not Amanda. Patricia was furious. She threatened my business, said she would ruin my reputation in high society circles if I did not comply. Then she tried to get me to transfer all the contracts into Amanda's name. Can she do that? Not without your signature, Tracy said. Douglas, I have been planning weddings for 15 years. I have seen family drama, cold feet, even runaway brides, but I have never seen a family treat someone the way they are treating you. You are paying for everything, and they are erasing you. It is not right. I looked at Tracy, this woman who barely knew me but had more compassion than my own sister. Thank you for telling me. What are you going to do? She asked carefully. I took a deep breath. I'm going to exercise my rights as the client. Understanding dawned in her eyes. You are going to cancel. Would you? In my position? Tracy reached across the table and squeezed my hand. In a heartbeat, I spent the rest of the morning in my hotel room, thinking through every possible option and every possible consequence. I could show up anyway and force a confrontation, but that would create a scene and probably end with security escorting me out while everyone watched. I would look like the villain, and Amanda would get to play the victim. I could let the wedding happen and just walk away from my sister forever. Take the financial loss as an expensive lesson and cut all ties. But that felt passive. It felt like letting them win, or I could use the only power I actually had, the power that came from being the person whose name was on every single contract. I pulled up all the vendor agreements on my laptop. Each one had a cancellation policy. Most required 72 hours notice for any kind of refund. We were exactly 72 hours out from the wedding. If I canceled now, I would forfeit about 50% of what I had paid, but I would get roughly $400,000 back. More importantly, the wedding would not happen. I started drafting cancellation emails. My hands were steady now. This was not about revenge. This was about self-respect. They did not get to erase me and keep my money. They did not get to have it both ways. At noon exactly, I began sending the emails. To the venue coordinator, Helen. I am writing to formally cancel the wedding event scheduled under my contract for the day after tomorrow. I understand the cancellation policy and accept the financial terms. Please confirm receipt of this cancellation in writing. To the caterer, same message, professional and clear. To the florist, canceled. To the band, canceled. To the photographer and videographer, canceled. To the transportation company, canceled. To the cake designer, canceled. Every single vendor received a formal, legally worded cancellation notice. I included my contract numbers, payment confirmations, and references to the cancellation clauses. I kept copies of everything. My phone rang. It was Marcus, the photographer. I answered. Douglas, I just got your cancellation email, he said. I wanted to call you personally before confirming. Is everything okay? No, I said honestly. Everything is not okay. But this is the right decision. I need to tell you something, Marcus said. A few weeks ago, I was at the venue doing a walkthrough for lighting and shot planning. Patricia Thompson was there with the wedding planner, discussing details. I overheard her talking about you. My stomach tightened. What did she say? She said you were a social climber who made dirty money. She said Amanda was better off without that embarrassment of a brother. She said Garrett is marrying down enough as it is, and they do not need to advertise it. I closed my eyes. Hearing it confirmed made it real in a way I had been trying to avoid. I felt sick hearing her talk about you like that, Marcus continued. I wanted to say something, but it was not my place. But now, with this cancellation, I wanted you to know that you are doing the right thing. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. Thank you, Marcus, I said, my voice rough with emotion. That means more than you know. After I hung up, I sat in silence. All the cancellations were sent. Now I just had to wait for them to realize what had happened. The wedding rehearsal was scheduled for 5 p.m. The rehearsal dinner was at 7. I knew it would take a few hours for the cancellations to filter through the vendor network and reach the wedding planner. At 3 p.m., my phone rang. It was Tracy. Douglas, what is happening? She sounded frantic. The venue just called me. They said everything is canceled. The caterer called. The florist called. What is going on? I canceled my event, I said calmly. All of it. But the wedding is in 2 days. There is no wedding, Tracy. I canceled all my contracts. There was a long silence. Then Tracy spoke, her voice much quieter. I understand. I am sorry this happened to you, Douglas. You deserved better. Thank you for being professional through all of this, I said. I need to call Amanda now, Tracy said. This is going to be devastating for her. She devastated me first, I replied. At 4 p.m., my phone exploded. Amanda was calling, texting, leaving voicemails that started desperate and became increasingly hysterical. Garrett was calling, his messages angry and demanding. Patricia was calling from Garrett's phone, leaving threatening voicemails about lawsuits and consequences. I put my phone on, do not disturb, and watched the messages pile up. 43 missed calls in the first hour. Over 100 texts. Voicemails filling up my inbox. I did not respond to any of them. At 5:30 p.m., I was sitting by the hotel pool, drinking a cold beer and watching the sunset over the vineyards. It was peaceful, beautiful, even. Then Amanda appeared, still dressed for the rehearsal that would never happen. Garrett was with her, also in formal clothes. They both looked shattered. Amanda ran to me, her makeup streaming down her face. How could you do this to me? She screamed. I took a sip of my beer and looked at her calmly. I could ask you the same thing. Garrett stepped forward, his face red with rage. You are going to reinstate everything right now, or I will sue you for every penny you have. I actually laughed. Sue me for what, Garrett? Canceling my own contracts? Go ahead. My lawyer would love that case. You are destroying my wedding, Amanda sobbed. How can you be so cruel? I am being cruel. I stood up slowly. Amanda, let me ask you something. Are you sorry you hurt me? Or are you sorry you got caught? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. That is what I thought, I said. You told me not to come to the wedding, so I am making sure there is no wedding to come to. Problem solved. Garrett took a step toward me, his hands clenched into fists. You are going to fix this right now. Hotel security appeared immediately. They had been watching the interaction from the moment Amanda started screaming. Is there a problem here? The larger security guard asked. These people are harassing me, I said. I would like them escorted off the property. You cannot do this, Amanda cried as security took her arm. I just did, I replied. I watched them being walked toward the parking lot, Amanda still crying, Garrett arguing with security. I finished my beer and ordered another. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. That evening, my phone continued to explode with messages. I finally turned it off completely and enjoyed a quiet dinner at the hotel restaurant. The next morning, my phone was at 117 missed calls. I turned it back on and immediately received a call from my Aunt Carol, Mom's sister. Douglas. Oh, honey, please tell me this is some kind of mistake. Carol was crying. Amanda came to my house last night absolutely devastated. She says you canceled her entire wedding. Please tell me that is not true. It is true, I said. But Douglas, she is your sister. I know she hurt you, but this is her wedding day, her one special day. Carol, I need to send you something. Can I text you some screenshots? What kind of screenshots? I spent the next 10 minutes sending Carol every text message, every email, the timeline of how I was systematically erased from a wedding I was paying over $800,000 for. I sent her the recording of Marcus describing Patricia's cruel words. I laid out the entire story. Carol called me back 15 minutes later, her voice completely different. Oh, honey, I had no idea. Amanda told me you backed out over some petty argument about the seating chart. She made it sound like you were being difficult and oversensitive. She lied to you, I said. Just like she lied to Garrett's family about where the money came from. I am so sorry, Carol whispered. You did the right thing. I cannot believe she treated you this way. Your mother would be heartbroken. That hit me hard. Mom would be heartbroken. She raised us to stick together, to value family above everything. But she also raised us to have self-respect, to stand up for ourselves, to know our worth. Thanks, Aunt Carol. I managed. Do you need anything? She asked. Just for people to know the truth, I said. That same morning, Amanda posted on social media that due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding was being postponed. She did not explain why. Garrett's family posted vague things about disappointments and challenges. I stayed silent. I did not post anything. I did not need to. Around 10 a.m., I received a call from Helen at the venue. Douglas, I wanted to give you a heads up, she said. Amanda and Patricia Thompson showed up here at 7 this morning. They were trying to claim there had been a mistake with the cancellation. What did you tell them? I showed them your cancellation email and confirmed that you, as the contract holder, had every right to cancel. Patricia demanded to speak to the owner. He told her the same thing. Patricia threatened to sue us. Our owner told her to leave the property or he would call the police. I am sorry you had to deal with that, I said. Don not be, Helen replied. I have been working weddings for 20 years. I have never seen anything like this. They are sitting in our parking lot right now, just sitting in their car. It is honestly sad to watch. Helen, thank you for being professional through all of this. You were a pleasure to work with, Douglas. I wish you the best. I decided to stay in Napa for the day. It was a beautiful place, and I was not going to let this ruin it for me. I went wine tasting at 3 different vineyards, had a wonderful lunch at a Michelin-starred restaurant, and allowed myself to feel something I had not felt in months. Free. Around 2 p.m., I returned to my hotel. There was a group waiting for me in the lobby. Amanda and Garrett, along with both sets of parents. Patricia and Richard Thompson, both in expensive clothes that screamed old money. I had never met Garrett's father before. They surrounded me like they were staging an intervention. Patricia started immediately. You are behaving like a petulant child, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. You are ruining a young couple's happiness over your ego. My ego, I repeated calmly. You are so insecure about your background that you cannot handle being a guest instead of the center of attention. Patricia continued. It is pathetic, really. You need to fix this immediately. No, I said simply. Excuse me. I looked directly at Patricia. Did you call me an embarrassment? She looked uncomfortable. I do not know what you are talking about. Did you say I do not fit in with your social circle? Did you tell my sister to erase me from her wedding? You are twisting things, Patricia said, but her voice was less certain now. I pulled out my phone and played the voice memo Marcus had sent me, where he recounted Patricia's exact words from the venue walkthrough. Her cruel assessment of me, her disdain for my background, her insistence that Garrett was already marrying down. Everyone heard it. Garrett looked shocked. Richard looked furious. Amanda went pale. You want me gone, I said calmly. I am gone. You wanted no connection to me in this wedding? There is no connection. You do not get to erase me and keep my money. Patricia tried to recover. We will pay you back. We will arrange a payment plan. I laughed. With what? You were not even willing to pay for the wedding yourselves. Where exactly is this money going to come from? Richard Thompson suddenly spoke up. He had been silent until now. Patricia, what have you done? His voice was low and dangerous. Patricia looked at her husband in surprise. Richard turned to me. I did not know it was this bad. I did not know the extent of what my wife said to you, or how you were treated. I apologize. Patricia's face flushed with anger. Richard, you are taking his side. I am taking the side of basic human decency, Richard said coldly. You treated this man abhorrently, and you did it in our family's name. I felt a small measure of respect for Richard in that moment. The wedding is canceled, I said firmly. That is final. All of you need to leave me alone now. Patricia opened her mouth to argue, but Richard took her arm. We are leaving. Come on. I watched as they walked toward the exit. Amanda collapsed into Garrett's arms, sobbing. Garrett looked torn between comforting her and his own obvious shock at everything he had just learned. As the elevator doors closed, leaving them all standing in the lobby, I felt something I had not expected to feel. Peace. Not happiness exactly, but a deep sense of rightness. I had stood up for myself. I had drawn a line. I had refused to be erased. I flew back to Austin the next day. The presidential suite had been booked for 4 nights, but I did not need to stay. I had said everything I needed to say. On the flight home, I thought about everything that had happened. My phone was still getting messages, but they were slowing down. I had blocked Amanda's number and Garrett's. I had blocked Patricia. The only people who could reach me now were people I actually wanted to hear from. Over the next week, the refunds started processing. The venue refunded me $90,000, keeping $90,000 for the late cancellation. The caterer refunded me $48,000, keeping $52,000. Every vendor had similar splits, some more generous than others. When all the refunds cleared, I had recovered approximately $410,000. I had lost $413,000 total. That was the price of this lesson, apparently. My lawyer Jason called to check on me. I told him the whole story. "You did the right thing," he said, "both legally and morally. And just so you know, if they try to sue you, they do not have a case. You canceled your own contracts within the allowable time frame. You broke no laws and violated no agreements." "I figured as much," I said, "but it is good to hear. Do you want me to send them a letter?" Jason asked. "Just to make it clear that further contact will be considered harassment." "Not yet," I said. "Let them sit with what happened for a while." 2 days later, a letter arrived at my house from a law firm in Connecticut. It was from Garrett's family attorney, threatening to sue me for intentional infliction of emotional distress. I took it to Jason, who actually laughed when he read it. "This is ridiculous," he said. "They have no case. You want me to respond? Please." Jason drafted a comprehensive response that included the full timeline of events, screenshots of Amanda's messages, uninviting me, the recording of Patricia's comments, and documentation of how I was systematically excluded from a wedding I was funding. He ended with a clear statement. I had exercised my legal rights after being disinvited from an event I was paying for, and any further harassment would result in a countersuit. Garrett's lawyer never responded. 2 weeks after the canceled wedding, Aunt Carol called me again. "Douglas, I need to tell you something," she said carefully. "Amanda has been having a complete breakdown. Garrett broke up with her." My stomach twisted despite everything. What happened? After everything came out, Garrett was humiliated. His family blamed Amanda for the whole disaster. Patricia said Amanda should have handled her family better. They said she brought shame on the Thompson name. Garrett told Amanda he could not marry someone who would treat family the way she treated you. I did not know what to say. She lost the relationship, and her brother, Carol, continued. "She is in a bad place, Douglas. I am not asking you to forgive her. I just thought you should know." 3 weeks after the canceled wedding, I received an unexpected call from Richard Thompson. "Douglas, I hope you do not mind me calling," he began. "I got your number from the wedding planner. I wanted to personally apologize for my family's behavior." "I appreciate that," I said cautiously. "I had no idea how badly Patricia was treating you. I have been married to her for 35 years, and I have never seen her act this way. She has always been concerned about social status, but this crossed a line." "It certainly did." I agreed. "I want you to know that Patricia is in therapy now. We both are, actually, doing marriage counseling. This incident made me realize how out of control her anxiety about status had become. She is not a bad person, Douglas. She just let her fears control her. I hope therapy helps her," I said, meaning it. "I also want to reimburse you for your losses," Richard said. "It is the least I can do. You should not have to bear the financial burden of our family's poor behavior." I was surprised. "That is generous of you. But you do not have to do that. I insist," Richard said. "Please. It would help me sleep better at night." A week later, I received a check from Richard Thompson for $200,000, along with a handwritten note apologizing again. I thought about it for a long time. Then I donated the entire amount to a charity that helps underprivileged kids afford college. I sent Richard a note letting him know what I had done. He called me the next day. "That was the classiest thing I have ever seen," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you, Douglas." 1 month after the canceled wedding, On a Tuesday evening, Amanda showed up at my house in Austin. I opened the door and barely recognized her. She had lost weight. Her eyes had dark circles under them. She looked exhausted and defeated. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. I hesitated, then stepped aside to let her in. We sat in my living room, the same room where I had signed all those wedding contracts months ago. Amanda stared at her hands for a long time before speaking. "I have been in therapy," she began. 3 times a week, trying to understand how I became the person who could do what I did to you. I stayed silent, letting her continue. "I was so desperate to fit into Garrett's world," she said, her voice breaking. "These people had everything we never had. Money, status, connections, security. I thought if I could just become one of them, I would finally be safe. I would never have to worry about being poor again. I would never have to feel like the kid with worn-out shoes and free lunch tickets." Tears rolled down her face. "But in trying to become someone else, I betrayed everything Mom taught us. I betrayed my values. I betrayed my family. I betrayed you." "Yes," I said quietly. "You did. I chose status over you," Amanda sobbed, "and I lost everything. Garrett left me. His family wants nothing to do with me now. They said I embarrassed them. The same people I was trying so hard to impress now think I am trash. I am sorry that happened," I said, and I meant it. Even after everything, I did not want to see her destroyed. "Are you," she asked, looking at me, "or are you glad I got what I deserved?" I thought about it. Both, maybe. "I am sorry you are hurting, but I am glad you understand what you did." "I do understand," Amanda said. "You taught me the most important lesson. You cannot betray yourself to please other people. You cannot abandon your family for status. You cannot erase where you came from." We sat in silence for a while. "Do you think you could ever forgive me?" she finally asked. "Not now. I know I do not deserve it now. But someday, maybe," I said honestly. "But it will not be the same between us, Amanda. You broke something. Trust, maybe, or the belief that family is unconditional." "I know," she whispered. "I am so sorry, Douglas." She stood to leave. At the door, she turned back. "Thank you for teaching me that lesson. Even though it was the hardest thing I have ever been through, you saved me from making an even bigger mistake. If I had married Garrett, I would have spent the rest of my life trying to be someone I am not. I would have lost myself completely." After she left, I sat in my living room for a long time, processing everything. I felt a mix of emotions: sadness for what we had lost, relief that the truth had come out, hope that maybe, someday, we could find our way back to each other. But mostly, I felt something simpler. I felt like myself again. Number Part 8. The Resolution and Life Lesson. 6 months have passed since the canceled wedding, and my life looks completely different now. I continued therapy, working through my own patterns and behaviors. My therapist helped me see that I had been using money to buy love and validation, trying to prove that I was worthy despite my poor background. The wedding was just the most extreme example of a pattern I had been repeating my whole life. I learned to set boundaries. I learned that generosity is only healthy when it is met with genuine gratitude and respect. I learned that I do not have to prove my worth to anyone, not even to family. My business is thriving. I landed 3 new consulting contracts and hired 2 employees. Work is good, fulfilling, and separate from my personal validation. I started dating someone new. Her name is Sarah, and she is a 3rd-grade teacher. She makes $48,000 a year and could not care less about status or wealth. She loves me for who I am, not what I can provide. When I told her the whole story about the wedding, she held my hand and said, "You did exactly the right thing." Amanda has reached out every month with updates on her progress. She stayed in therapy and really seems to be doing the work to change. She got a new job, moved to a smaller apartment, and stopped trying to live beyond her means. She is dating someone new, a teacher named Jake, who grew up similar to how we did. She seems happier in a way she never was with Garrett. We have had coffee twice, brief meetings, careful conversations. She does not ask me for anything except the chance to slowly rebuild trust. I appreciate that. I am not ready to let her fully back into my life, but I am open to the possibility someday. Richard Thompson's check was donated to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students. I get letters from the charity every few months updating me on the kids who are benefiting from that money. It feels better than any wedding would have. Patricia sent me a handwritten letter of apology, about 3 months after everything happened. It was stiff and formal, clearly something she wrote in therapy, but I think it was genuine. She acknowledged the cruel things she said and the classist attitudes she held. I wrote back a short note accepting her apology. I have no relationship with her and do not want one, but I am not carrying anger anymore either. Last week was Thanksgiving. Amanda asked if she could come to the dinner I was hosting with Sarah and Aunt Carol. I said yes. She arrived early with a homemade pumpkin pie, nothing fancy or expensive. We all sat around my dining table, just 4 people, and it felt right. Small, simple, real. During dinner, Amanda raised her glass. "I want to make a toast," she said, "to Douglas, for teaching me that integrity is worth more than status, and family is defined by loyalty, not blood. I am becoming the person I should have been, and I owe that to you." I saw a genuine change in her eyes. She is not the same person who asked me not to come to her wedding. She has been humbled, broken down, and is rebuilding herself with better materials this time. We are not fully healed. Trust takes time to rebuild. But we are on a path, and that is something. I have been thinking a lot about what I learned from all of this. It was an expensive lesson at $413,000, but it taught me things I needed to know. I learned that generosity without respect is just enabling. When someone takes your help but treats you poorly, you are not helping them grow. You are teaching them that they can use you. I learned that family means nothing if there is no loyalty behind it. Blood does not give someone the right to erase you, betray you, or treat you as disposable. Real family shows up. Real family has your back. Real family does not ask you to erase yourself to make them comfortable. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the consequences of their choices. By canceling that wedding, I taught Amanda a lesson she could not have learned any other way. If I had just let it happen, she would have married Garrett, spent decades trying to be someone she is not, and maybe never found her way back to herself. I learned that you cannot buy your way into someone's heart. All the money in the world will not make someone respect you if they have decided you are beneath them. And people who judge you for where you came from are not people worth impressing. Most importantly, I learned that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. Never betray that for anyone. Your self-respect, your values, your dignity are not negotiable. The moment you start compromising who you are to please someone else, you have lost something far more valuable than money. Looking back, I do not regret canceling that wedding. Yes, it cost me over $400,000. Yes, it caused pain and chaos. Yes, it destroyed my relationship with my sister for a time, but it also gave me something priceless. The knowledge that I will not allow myself to be erased, that I will stand up for my worth, that I will protect my dignity even when it is hard, even when it is expensive, even when people tell me I am wrong. The best gift I ever gave my sister was not that $800,000 wedding. It was showing her that actions have consequences, and that real love means having the courage to say no when someone is hurting themselves and you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to let them fall. Let them see what happens when they make selfish choices. Let them learn that relationships require respect, not just when it is convenient, but always. And sometimes walking away is not giving up. Sometimes it is the bravest thing you can do. It is saying, "I love you, but I love myself more. I want you to be happy, but not at the cost of my dignity. I will be here when you are ready to be family for real, not just when you need something from me." I am at peace now. My life is smaller in some ways. I do not have a sister I talk to every day anymore. I do not have that fantasy of the perfect family who overcame poverty together and stayed loyal forever. But I have something better. I have self-respect. I have boundaries. I have relationships with people who truly value me. I have Sarah, who loves me without conditions. I have a business I am proud of. I have the knowledge that when tested, I stood up for myself. That is worth more than any wedding. That is worth more than any relationship that requires me to diminish myself to maintain it. So to anyone out there who has been made to feel like they are not good enough, like their background is something to be ashamed of, like they need to erase themselves to fit into someone else's world, you do not. You are enough exactly as you are. The people who truly love you will celebrate where you came from, not ask you to hide it. And if someone asks you to pay for your own erasure, Remember, you always have the power to say no. You always have the power to walk away. You always have the power to protect your dignity. That power is worth more than any amount of money. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where family or someone close to you made you feel like you had to choose between your self-respect and keeping the peace? What did you do? How did it turn out? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and know they are not alone in their struggles. Subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories about standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, and finding your way through difficult family situations. And please share this with anyone who might need to hear it. Anyone who is struggling with family expectations or feeling pressure to compromise who they are. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gave you something to think about, and maybe even the courage to stand up for yourself when you need to. Remember, you are worth fighting for, even if the fight is against people you love. Take care of yourselves out there, and know that choosing yourself is not selfish, it is survival.